Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi. I'm back. I'm sure you've all been impatiently waiting for me to post a video again. I'm so sorry. Yes, I know. But we're here now together, and I'm going to talk about this sweater that I just knit. That's the whole video. I'm going to go through the process of making this, the inspiration, just everything, I guess, about this sweater, because this is my first sweater I've knit fully in the round, top down. That's also a yoke, that also has color work. Yeah, I think that's all the is also self-drafted, so I'll discuss a little bit about that. I was kind of making a vlog about this, and very good. I cried. I think I saw it with like a small bladder social group. I don't know, because everyone was getting up to pee the whole movie through the early stages, but each like check-in I made was like 15 minutes long each, the minimum, and that's just very long. I could have broken it up into multiple videos, but I didn't feel like I had meaty enough, like good enough content in each section, because I just didn't really plan things out, and I just felt like posting it in parts would have been lackluster in a way. So now I'm just going to talk at you about it because I want to, because I'm very proud of this. And you're going to sit there and you're going to eat your food or knit your knit and listen. Okay, thank you. Please don't go. Bleak. I'm trying to keep on track because I don't want this to be that long. Because the vlogs were really long, so I don't want this to be that long. Anyways, where to start with this, even though I wrote down what to start with. Okay, so yeah, the start of this, the seed of this sweater sort of was planted last summer, sometime in the summer. I wanted to do a sweater that was a yoke and that had these colors in a colorwork, something going on. Okay, that was the idea. It was very vague. I kind of horribly talk about it in my fall winter video that I have up. Still haven't privated miraculously. And I don't know what I said there, so we're gonna forget about it. This is a different video. But yeah, I wanted to do something like that with these colors. And then unfortunately, my family dog, Rocky, passed away in about late August on the 17th. And yeah, I don't know, just I guess a part of me sort of quickly incorporated having some type of homage to Rocky into this sweater. I don't know. I don't know how to explain my mind, but I wanted to include some type of dog imagery in varying ways in the sweater. And so I sort of switched up the design. The design it wasn't concrete or anything, but that was sort of the goal going forward. The same sweater, same colors, now with something to do with Rocky in it. So I will talk about Rocky a little bit, the inspiration for this. After all, this is a sweater dedicated to him and his memory. Rocky came to our family in a kind of a weird way. So he was my sister's ex-boyfriend's family's dog. And it's a lot of stuff happened. I'll spare the detail. Essentially, my sister ended up with Rocky, and she was living on her own at that point, and she was a nurse, so she worked, long hours, difficult hours. She was very young too. And it got to a point where I think it was just a little hard for her to manage having Rocky. And so around like 2016, I think, like summer of 2016, early 2016, maybe more so, um, he started to live with my parents, and I was at my parents' house still, so I was living with him as well. And yeah, so 2016, that's like about 9 years we had him for. We didn't know his exact birthday, but he was like 13, I believe, when he passed away. He was like my mom did get, it's loud outside, sorry. My mom did get a DNA test done at one point. I forget the exact mixes. I think like Lhasa Apso was in there quite a bit, but he was a mix of different things we didn't know. But yeah, he was a funny little dog. Like, he wasn't really socialized that well at first, by the family. I don't think he was very skittish when we first met him. At least when I first met him, he would like always hide behind my sister and always would stick right beside her. Eventually, he warmed up to my mom, and my mom could get closer to him. And he was always kind of, in those first few months, a little standoffish, but he eventually warmed up to all of us. But he was always a little quirky and anxious because of probably his early puppy days. But yeah, he was a silly little boy. I don't know, I always called him silly. He had this underbite that was very cute and prominent. He liked to look out the living room window and bark at everything going by. He loved to sleep in. He liked to cuddle. But yeah, he was just a really special dog. So we're going to, you know, celebrate his life as we can and think back on the fond memories of him. And I'm happy to have this memento that I can always wear and cherish, that can remind me of him. I kind of wish I had I think there's a brush at home with some hair on it. Maybe I'll try to like weave in some of his hair into this. I don't know. But yeah, I'm happy to have it, and I'm just so proud of this sweater. It's really, I think, my best thing I've made yet. Not just because of the sentimentality of it, but I think all of my like previous workings in knitting, because a lot of it has been self-drafted, is culminating. My skills are building. I think, I might make some other great things to come, but this is my magnum opus, I think. Yeah, so. All right, so this sweater, let's talk about the approach I had to this. So, like I said, this is the first top down in the round sweater I've ever knit, first yoke I've ever knit. And I first started to do this by just knitting a yoke. I don't know. Oh, I unraveled it, which was very proactive of me. But it was not good. Yeah, it was just too large. I did too many increases. I was just like trying to see like literally the mechanics of knitting a yoke, doing increases, how it would sit on me. Got probably to like about here, and it was very wavy, and I thought, oh, maybe it's the like knitting cord in there kind of flexing it, but it was just that there's too many stitches. But it didn't really matter. I was just trying to do a yoke and do short rows to see how the short rows would go and how they'd sit. Very exploratory. So after I did that, I think I was really starting to think about the color work and the sizing of the actual yoke. For some reason, like, I do self-draft, so I'm very aware of swatching and getting your gauge or stitches per inch and working things out via your measurements and blah, 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 blah. And for whatever reason, that, like, wasn't like immediately clicking in my brain about a yoke. I think just the fact that it was all in a round. I really struggled to conceptualize how it would fit on the body. And then eventually I was like, oh my God, stitches per inch. Because I was like reading a lot about like having your measurements and knowing your yoke size and whatever. And I was like, how do you do it? And then, anyways, so I was watching a lot of tutorials. I'll try to maybe like link some of the ones that I found very helpful. And maybe some blog posts that I found, but it's actually was kind of tough to find resources. I don't know if anybody has tips. Like, I could have gotten books, but I didn't. I didn't do that. And I don't know if there's like a good spot to find information or a good way to search for information, keywords, like putting things in quotations while you search, or I don't know. But a lot of the things I was getting back, well, a lot of them were bottom up, which I guess I could still glean some information from that, but I did want top down more directly. There's not a lot of resources. Maybe people are just paywalling the information. I don't necessarily blame them, but it seems hard to find info on like self-drafting sometimes, not just with yokes. I feel like in general I've had issues in the past, at least a search engine being able to parse asking about self-drafting versus people asking similar questions but are in relation to patterns. And that's another thing. A lot of knitting resources I've sort of come across seem to be like how to do this thing but in relation to the pattern you're following. And I'm not following a pattern. I'm trying to make one technically, I guess, in a way. So it was hard to feel like I found like the Bible of top down. It probably is on a shelf somewhere, but it's not online. At least I couldn't find it. So maybe that's too much to ask. Like I said, if you want to paywall that information, I feel like that's pretty rightfully so is justified. You're teaching people, so there's courses. I come across like courses, but like anyways. So yeah, so I did that yoke, and then I was coming up with my sizing, and the color work itself was very daunting. I think I might have come up with a draft of it, and then I do have some footage, so maybe I'll try to intersperse the footage here, but I did decide that actually I should knit a fully different sweater that's top down yoke sweater just to see how it goes. So I ran out like immediately after having that thought and bought some yarn and then just started to make a sweater. It was a bit of a different gauge, so I had to readjust some of my measurements or my like stitch counts, I guess. And then I knit that. I wanted this to feel oversized. I didn't want it to be like, if you look at a lot of yokes online, like they do seem to be very tight to the chest. They seem to have very small armholes. I think that is to maximize as you can see, if I go like this, you can't see portion of the color work. I feel like that's just to maximize the fact that you're seeing that color work. But yeah, I wanted it to feel roomier. So in that trial run, because I knew I would make mistakes, that is why I did it. I kind of overshot, or just I tried to make it oversized, tried to make it roomy. And I was very concerned about the sleeves. I feel like I have a messed up perception of sleeve size and then sleeve fit, expectation versus reality of that. But I kind of overshot. I put too many stitches for the sleeve. I had a set amount and then I added even more, added like another inch or two of stitches, and it made this sweater bad. It was bad. I do have it actually. It's right beside me. So I was going to just make it very simple anyway because I didn't want it to be very time consuming. I did end up knitting, like it's kind of cropped. I did end up knitting one full sleeve. I don't know what you can see there, but the sleeve is very large. And the yoke is very large too. It's like really, oop, hang on. It's like really folded. Like this has obviously some creasing and folding. It felt like I haven't worn it in a bit, but it was pretty bad on this. The sleeve was too big. I was still kind of thinking of committing to it, but I was like, okay, well I did a sleeve and I think I get it, and I don't want to spend any more time on it. I want to start this sweater, so I did stop and started this one. I'm happy I stopped where I did because it was kind of helpful to see the yoke with a sleeve attached versus not, and then like wear it and then just sort of get more information while I was still planning and knitting this sweater. So I did that, and then I probably nailed down the color work, which I will talk about the design of it in a little bit, but we'll still talk about the process here. And so but after that, I knit a little test of the color work just to see that things came out the way I liked. I had to refine it quite a bit. Doing the yoke increases was a little tricky. So I had it set up in a way, I had my like target. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. So I mean, maybe self-drafted, some of you might argue it's a little generous of me to say. I still think I self-drafted it because I did like measure myself and did my own gauge, but I was very concerned. I wanted this to be good. So I did find some free yoke patterns, and I did also get the Strange Brew pattern because seemed like a lot of places were talking about that when I was doing my research. And that it's kind of like build your own, and it was supposed to give you some color work charts to follow, which I was very like in the dark on what this yoke would look like at that time, so I thought that would be good to have. And so with those various patterns I kind of checked my sizing compared to the large sweater size of each of those patterns, and I was within the same stitch count generally. I think the gauges were all the same as mine, so I could see sort of that I was on the right track with that. And so what was the point of me saying that? So the Strange Brew sort of says that your increases should occur in certain sections. So I was following that guideline of where I felt like the increases should occur, and since there's only like 3 or 4 of those points of increase, there would be multiple increases occurring, obviously. But when I was knitting up the test color work, the increases were messing with, like I wasn't really sure how to incorporate the increases with the color work. So when I was knitting it, it was kind of skewing everything, and I wasn't exactly sure if it was solvable with like the same parameters. So I went back and I broke it down into even more increases. So I was checking not only the colorwork charts that were in the patterns I had, but that were just like if you Google like colorwork wedge, I was looking at examples of those wedges to see how they did increases, and a lot of them actually did like 2 increases per wedge at an increase row, and then had like more than 4. Like Strange Brew was like you have 4 points of increase, and other yokes were doing multiple increases. So I switched it up because just doing 2 increases per wedge was a little neater and was easier to balance everything and to fit in. I then bumped up to I'm trying to think of how to describe this. So I had my final stitch count. Everything was working on multiples of 12. I think that's the right way to. So the final panel portion, can you see the camera's kind of cutting it off? Or there's words on the camera. Like the bottom section of one wedge is 24 stitches. So um, so everything is like a multiple of 12 increase wide, like row count, and there's 12 sections. I mean, that's probably the more important um, thing there. There's 12 slices of the pie. So uh, yeah, so I just was doing math to get increases that would allow for that would fit in my starting number and my final number of on the yoke. And then I feel like I'm explaining this poorly anyway. uh, so and then what I did was, there's a couple, especially at the top, there's more of increases obviously. And the increases just occurred over like 2 rows. There were only like 2 rows and then another increase. But the sections that I liked the measurement, the size of, as confirmed with the trial yokes and my self measurements, those sections were larger. Does that make sense? So I have my sheet right here in front of me. So like I had, let's just say, for example, where am I? I had 144 stitches at one point. But no. Is that true? Which one did I like? Yeah. Okay, so I had 120 stitches, but I liked that where the 144 stitches were, I liked it felt like a good size. So I did those for maybe 4 or 6 rows instead of two. You get what I mean? I don't know if this is really important, but I'm just letting you know, so you know that certain sections were still larger, and some sections where I needed to, they were sort of like, um, so yeah, I had my target like increases that felt good at each location of where they should be. And then those like filler increases to make the pattern nice were smaller than the increased sections that I liked. Is that okay? Is that okay? So that's what I did. Anyway, um, and so I did change that. I changed the design to reflect that. I knit the test of it, and I was like, okay, let's go. Now, wait, the test I did no mohair in, and I did it flat. So it was quite big. And I was like, well, it's different because it's mohair, and there's no mohair, and I knit flat. And I wasn't really like trying to care. I wasn't caring about my tension so much. So I was like, that's why it's so big. Like, whatever. Um, the swatch that this is based off of was like 4 millimeter needles, held with mohair, no color work, but knit in the round. That was the swatch. So that was giving me my numbers. Um, and yeah, so then I start to knit the actual sweater. And I'm on 4 millimeter needles. When I cast on no neckband, no like ribbing, just the hole, which is a little small. It looks a little small. I'm a little concerned, but I think it's gonna grow. Like it really grew on this thing. And it's like there's gonna be more sleeves, more weight. My body's gonna be stretching it out. It's gonna grow. It's gonna be fine. Anyways, I start knitting the color work in 4 millimeter needles, and I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to be loose. I'm on the tighter side of knitting, but it's too tight. And I get to probably like halfway through this section. Is that true? Is that true, Ellen? Maybe. And then I was like, okay, no, I need to redo it. So then I take it back and I go up to 4.5 millimeter needles. And then I start to knit it and I get through this pink here and then I enter another section of pink. Now this section was kind of ended up being a throwaway section. The pink was far too light. It looked great in a ball, in a skein, whatever, but when knit with the white, it blended in too much. So, and then at this point, I'm looking at what I've knit and I'm measuring it, and it's too big, too big. Something's wrong. So I was like, okay, I can't do this. I have to. I'm like way over my supposed size here, and I had to cut out that section. It's fine. It was just a filler. It was poorly designed. It was just to like make float catching easy. That was the only reason why I designed it the way I did. It was like a checkerboard, and I got rid of it. And I did get rid of a couple. There's like there was a buffer row between these colors. I got rid of that too. So yeah, and then I just kept going. I don't think I removed. I might have. No, I'm just trying to look here in my mirror. I don't think I removed any other buffer row. But I just kept going. I did actually. Wait, what did I do? I think I did. So when I got to this section, I might have just increased by 4 in a wedge. Before I was doing 2, but because there was a lot of open space here and I had the buffer row still available, like that's why this was so tricky too, because there was no buffer space to do increases. At least I didn't. Maybe I could have planned that more, but I didn't. So it's easier to put increases here. So I might have just did 4 increases in this section. I don't remember. Anyway, somewhere at the bark or the dog. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, so what am I talking about? But yeah, so I was knitting it and it was just ended up being a little big. So obviously I was just wrong somewhere along the way. Probably with the swatching, I should have maybe done some color work. I don't know. Just something, I didn't really think about it because it didn't matter. So I was still kind of on target. Actually, in the original plan for the color work, this bottom section of pink, like I still had like an inch to knit, like maybe a little bit more. That's what I was predicting. But the section that I did knit, that I had designed, first of all, it was like going to be 3 colors at once, which would be annoying. Which I thought like, oh, it would be the end of the yoke, like I'll be okay with it because I'm going to be done after. Which by the time I got to the dog, like the bottom end of the yoke, I was like, I'm fucking done with color work. So that would not have been good to do the 3 color work at that point. But I didn't like how it looked anyway, and then also it was too big. Too many. It was like I had to cut the yoke off. So I did actually just immediately stop after the dog, and I split for sleeves, which the resulting, like I split and then I thought about what I'm going to do for this bottom section because I did want it to be encapsulated in pink. But I did that after I split. Now I should have just probably kept it on. I don't know if those 3 rows would really mess up the yoke fit that much more. I mean, like some of you who know better might be able to say how well this fits. I'll put pictures of me standing. I don't know. Because there is sort of this folding going on. Like it is obviously larger, but I did want the larger size and I'm happy with how it came out. But yeah, I don't know. I maybe should have just kept it because it was kind of a pain in the ass to do the color work, especially because I had to pick up for sleeves, the sleeve hole, the arm. I don't know. What am I saying? But yeah, it was just annoying, and I could have probably spared the hassle of trying to do color work on the sleeve pickup and separation, whatever, blah blah blah. So I think that's that. And then the rest was kind of smooth sailing because it's all just stockinette white, one color. I did do faux seams on this. I like to seam. I like knitting flat. It's how I usually do things. And this sweater, I think just because it's oversized, I think maybe that's mainly the problem. But one of the reasons why I knit flat, okay, there's a couple of reasons. When I first got into knitting, I did want to just self draft. And so knitting flat made more sense to me. I could lay something out like a sweater and just copy the front panel shape and then, blah, 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 make all my pieces and then seam it, and that's fine. And then just reading about how like seams provide structure, support, and longevity, maybe to sweaters. So I'm kind of like about the seaming in that way, though obviously lots of people knit in the round, and I'm sure they last just fine. I think there'd be more of a problem if people were having more of a vocal discussion of the issues with knitting in the round if they were actually that uh, like pervasive and the impact was felt so widely. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, but they say that things in the round twist because it's a spiral. And I was really feeling that when I wear this. I think it might just be because mostly in the sleeve that I felt it, and maybe just because the sleeve is very large and poorly made. But I could feel it twisting on my arm, and so I just did want to incorporate some faux seams. I almost like knit these sections flat. I was almost like, let me just knit them flat and then actually seam them. But then I thought about doing the color work again, and I was just like, I don't know. And maybe I could even knit them flat and then knit in the round of the cuff. But I just thought, let's commit to the fully in the round moment that I've never done and just do a faux seam. I think they are supposed to be just as good. So whatever, they might add a little bit stability. So I did that. So there's faux seams in the sweater. And yeah, so I think that's kind of the construction. It did block out nicely. It was kind of small, like I was kind of foreshadowing about the neckband that I kind of forgot to talk about. I did pick up for the collar here, and I wanted to do a folded collar. I did do that thing where you do like the double knitting at the base of the collar for like fun. So I did that, which I'm happy I did. I feel like it provides a good distinction here. I don't know if I'd like it if I just picked up right away. And yeah, it just was too tight. I did the whole thing. I bound it off and then I couldn't get it on my head, so I had to undo it. And then I was attempting to do like a allegedly stretchy double or folded over bind off. But I did like 3 stitches and I like kind of tugged it and it didn't really move at all. And I just felt dubious about it. Like I didn't want to do it all again. So I just halved what I knit ribbing wise and then just did a Italian bind off. And yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine getting on. It's a little tough to. I'm just like apprehensive taking it off, but it's okay. It's not horrible. Blocking helped loosen it a little, but it is still kind of high and tight, for what maybe I would want. But it's comfortable. It's not choking me. It was kind of choking me before blocking. Um, and maybe it'll blow out a little more, get looser as I wear it. But But yeah, is that all I had to say about that? But yeah, the rest of it, like when I was first wearing it, maybe the pictures kind of show, but it felt almost like a little too small. I was kind of worried. I felt like almost like maybe you could judge by the photos. It almost seemed like a perfect fit or like just a little snug. Especially maybe just because it was tugging at my neck a lot. I felt that, and the sleeves weren't overly long, but it blocked out nicely. It blocked out really nice. I like it. I really love it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about the journey getting here. I've been rambling a lot. I'm not rambling. Now I'm rambling, but I wasn't rambling. I don't think that's rambling. It's not technically rambling anyway. So yeah, so the color work. Oh, the color work. Let's talk about it. So what is there to say? If you happen to check out, or if you've already seen my fall winter video, I was kind of talking about some of the inspiration. There was like some music inspiration that kind of got like the creative juices flowing for this. And they all kind of had like this music boxy sound. Some of them were kind of like circusy in a way, that drew the imagery of like a carousel or a carnival. So that was kind of like the general vibe, maybe like carousel vibe. Technically, maybe I kind of did think about it like if this line was like into the dog, um, then like maybe that would be more carousel vibes. But we were being very loose with the interpretation here. But I did want the top portion to have like this peak, this like carousel. Look at the edge, the wavy edge. Look at a big top tent, like something like that. I wanted the directionality of it going like both directions, peaking here, but also like coming away from the neck. Makes a nice effect, almost like a flower in a sense. And so this was kind of tricky. Had to do a lot of like rejigging of it when actually knitting that test swatch. I did try to do different colors, like multiple shades of the pink, that I had in this, but I don't know. I like abandoned that. I think maybe I just felt like I needed to commit more to the white space. I also needed to think about how to manage it so that I was only working with two colors, and then the sizing changed. So like when I had to do more increases in this section as compared to my first draft where I did have some like multiple colors going on, it just felt like too much to juggle. So I just went with the straight one pink. I think I just kind of went for this rudimentary like uh, triangle point here, and then just try to fill in the space with whatever I could, whatever felt um, like okay enough that could help anchor the pink in as well, so I didn't have to have huge floats behind. Unfortunately, though, this is kind of the most jank section of the sweater, of the color work. I don't know if the image is so tiny here I'm trying to look at, but it's like you can really see the floats carrying behind. Anyway, there's so many increases going on. This is the thing, I didn't really look into it, but I did do yarn over increases. That might have been the problem. I just wanted something more neutral for whatever reason. I just didn't like the idea of doing a leaning increase because I felt like that would contribute to the spiraling, even though it's already spiraled. So I wanted something straight, and I just one of the patterns I read said yarn over, or like even maybe some of the forums I read were trying to just like do a yarn over increase. So I just thought like, okay, I'll do yarn over. I didn't really look into other types of increases. So I don't know if that would have affected this in any better way. Also, um, increases just are going to pull away from other stitches. And when you're doing so many in one section, like, I can't imagine, I'm sure you can get cleaner work than this, but it's always going to be tricky in my mind, I think. I'm trying to justify it maybe, but yeah, so it's a little messy, but I don't know. I feel like am I crazy? I feel like it kind of doesn't matter. I feel like first of all, you're looking at the rest of the yoke, and also I don't know, like the noise because it's already like um there's not like a clear color. It's very line based design that like the yoke the floats poking through kind of it's just like visual noise but like contributes. Is that too bold of me to say? Like it doesn't it's not like detracting, but maybe it jumped out at you when you first saw this. Maybe now that I'm talking about it more, you look at it and you hate it. But I don't know. I feel like it's not that big at the end of the day. I did some of there was especially in these sections. I think it was very egregious, like worse than the rest. And of course, like the backs and the side, I don't even think are as bad as this front section. So of course the front facing section had like the worst float poking through. So do some I did run some white thread, what yarn, to try to hide some of the floats poking through. There was a increase, I think, around here that was just like so blown out that I did like kind of duplicate stitch and stuff in the section. The rest of it, I don't care to like even this side's a little pink poking through, but I don't think it's worth going through. At least right now, I don't care. So that was that. And then we get to this next pink section, which is the second most jank section of the second most unsuccessful, maybe first most for some, I don't know. These are supposed to be hearts. I don't know what you can see in the monitor or in the screen on your, in the mirror, they look okay. There are increases occurring around the hearts, so maybe the increases are pulling the stitches. I did knit not only this heart on its own swatch, like separate from that full Colourwork swatch, like its own swatch, I knit like 4 variations of a heart. And they all looked relatively like hearts. This one kind of, I felt like would maybe read the most. Unfortunately, it just didn't really translate here. It looked worse before blocking. When I did, because I was thinking like maybe I could duplicate stitch some white onto here to help it look more like a heart. So I just did one of these hearts like that, and pre-block it actually looked okay. It was still a little, but it kind of looked a little better, a little bit as a heart after I did the duplicate stitch, but I kind of was like, whatever. And I blocked it. I kind of forgot I did that. And then when I looked at it post block, that duplicate stitch section actually looked worse than before and looked less like a heart. So I just removed it. I don't think I will ever adjust these. I might, if I were to ever do that though, it would only be like the front, even like just these 4 hearts, like not even the full front. Like I wouldn't bother doing the back. So, but I think it's fine. And if it doesn't look like hearts, they can just be like a ball, like a dog chases a ball, like a ball for a dog. Yeah, and then that leads to a bone for a dog. Rocky loved his bones. He loved to chew his bone. He was always very excited to get one, very protective of it, but he'd like you to chase him and try to take it from him. That was a game he liked to play, so I needed a bone on here, and it's just, major dog iconography, so a bone you have. This darker purple section, should I zoom out? Should I zoom down? Should I sit back? I don't know. Let's see. This darker purple, this was just sort of I don't know, I cooked this up. It's like wings and a halo. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but Rocky is my little angel. So that's there. And actually, I really love the how it came out. I really love that design. I kind of ate that. And then Bark and Woof. Rocky loved to bark, so I had to have that on there. This gray, can you see? Let's just pause here for a second. I really like the gray, like I don't have the skein on hand, but it's a very nice gray. I find it very pleasing, but I held it with a black mohair. I think in an effort, I'm always very scared I'm going to run out of yarn. So I think maybe just in an effort to not use the lighter mohair I was using. It's technically like, it's white, but it has like a very subtle pink to it. So I was like, I'll just use the black. Like, it's fine. It won't show up that much, but it kind of does show up a lot on the gray, and I feel like I don't like that overall, because it really shows through, especially in these front ones. Like this A, there's just like a line of black. Overall, it's not horrible, but I do, if I would change anything, maybe it would be that. I just hold it with the white mohair, but it's okay. It's okay. And then, of course, I have the dog. Should I stand? Let me just do this. So I wanted a dog running. I loved when Rocky would frolic and run and get the zoomies. He'd always like go crazy in the snow, usually like immediately, and then he'd calm down. But he just like, I don't know, just see him run around. I loved that. So I wanted to have a dog running. So it sees like the alternating legs of that occurring. The idea was to have the dog running all the way across the sweater. So yeah, that maybe it would hammer home the design, because I don't know if it's sorry, there is font like right on the screen where the dog is, so hopefully you can see it. It's really distracting me. Anyway, the dog, yeah, so this was literally, if you follow me on Instagram, I've like maybe talked about it a bit, that this is just the first draft. I did technically adjust it a little bit, but like it was the first thing I made, so I always felt a little like, was there a better option? Like, is there something I didn't explore that could still communicate a dog running that would fit this size? Because that was another thing. It's the size limitation that's, I think, really at play here. And yeah, I felt like maybe it wasn't good. I thought maybe I should just do like a dog sitting. I wasn't going to get realism in here at all. But at the last minute, right when I was starting this section, I thought, let me just do a dog face. So I kind of played around a bit in Stitch Fiddle, which is where I charted this, and I made this little dog face, and it does look like him, I think. A part of why I didn't just immediately go for a dog face was because of his underbite, that I felt like I needed to incorporate if I did like, even if it was like a cartoon of his face, like this, I guess. Yeah, I wanted the tooth to be prominent, but I decided it's okay. So I just did the dog face, and then these corner sections are paws. If you can see, I can't see in the video there, but they're paws. And yeah, and then I did this border of pink. Actually, I did want to say, I mean, it's kind of like unfortunate that the dog face gets smushed in the armpit area. I did think of like, maybe I should have done the face on the sleeves and then had just the dog running on the body. But actually it kind of works that because the dog face gets folded in, like the dog running kind of still exists along the front. So I kind of get best of both worlds in a way. Am I, lying to myself? I don't know. But I like it. Okay, I'm not losing sleep over this at all. I'm very happy with my decision. So, and then I did this pink border. I was kind of doing, if I've not shown, I'm pretty sure I've put images in at this point, but I was doing something like ribbony at the bottom. But I didn't have the space to work with, and I just wanted to get the color work over with. And again, I said I split here for the sleeves, so I just did this. Technically, it is kind of like there's like a wave going on with this very light pink, and this is actually, this very light pink is actually the pink that I removed from a section up here. It might look more wavy if it was fully encapsulated in the dark pink, but I didn't want to do that. So that's kind of what's going on, but it doesn't really read like that necessarily. But I just wanted it to be ended with pink as well. So that is the design of the yoke, because I forgot I have the sleeves and the hem color work, which is the same. So I bought a lot of yarn for this, of the other colors. I had like the perfect amount of the white, which I did actually go and buy some extra because I thought I had not enough, but I didn't need any of it. Had the perfect amount of the white, and I think just because I wasn't sure what the color work would look like when I bought the yarn, I overbought these colors. Some a little more than others, but I did that. So I thought with these color works, the cuffs, and that I would do like full like color, no white space, like really just try to use up some of that yarn. But I felt like that was incongruent with the yoke. I felt like it needed to reflect what the yoke was doing. I felt like if I had huge chunks of blocks of color here, it would be too off-putting. I didn't want to risk it. So I decided to, I felt like I needed to mirror the yoke. There's not that top border of pink like here, but I wanted the pink, the same pink that goes around the neck, to be the one that goes around the cuffs of everywhere else. And so I just, reversed the order. And so this black portion, the biggest portion, that's where I did an homage to Rocky's underbite. So if you can see there, it's a little like L-shaped, sideways L-shaped kind of thing. How to describe it? It follows where his underbite is, so it would stick out. Here would be his left tooth, and it would be the most prominent. So that's kind of what that's doing there. That's what that's supposed to signify. And then I just did a line of gray, and then I just wanted something like, I was kind of going for that like, I don't know what word. I've never been able to put a word to this. I just wanted something branching, some branching color work to get the white space in. So that's kind of the vibe of the color, like the purple to the pink there. So I just wanted something like that, branching network, rivers of color towards the focal point of the cuff. That was the idea. I did think about incorporating houndstooth. I thought about it somehow, like maybe houndstooth could be present here. The proper houndstooth would take too many stitches. I didn't want the color work to be, the full forearm, and then I wouldn't have been able to get like a good repeat of the houndstooth in here. And then even the simplified version, I thought about like how to do it, splitting the color, because I didn't have, again, I'm kind of short on space, I just didn't feel like I could get a decent amount of repeats of the houndstooth. But there is technically the simplified houndstooth. There is just a single repeat of that simplified thing in here. So between the, let me point, like this white space here on this row between the lavenderish and the light pink, I think that's where that one single houndstooth is technically, simplified houndstooth is technically sitting. Is it houndstooth if it's isolated? I don't know, but I did think about it, okay? And that was the intention, to have a bit of houndstooth in some way in here. So that is there, okay? And that is everything, I think. Guys, thank you. Wow, this has been an hour. Oh, God. I don't know what else to say. I think I've told you how much I love this. This was a labor of love. I have something on my tooth. And I'm just so happy with it, so proud. Let's stand up. Ah. Okay, never mind. But yeah, I'm very happy. Thank you if you sat through all of this. Thank you very much for listening to me talk about my new favorite sweater. I'm just so happy to have made it. Yeah. I am going to post a couple more videos, I think, soonly, I hope. I do want I do want to talk about my upcoming plans. I have a few projects in mind that we will discuss together if you want to hear. But thank you again for watching, and I don't know, have a good day. Hug your dog, kiss your dog, pick them up. I loved picking Rocky up. I think he hated it, but I loved picking him up. And go for a walk. Even if you don't have a dog, go for a walk and eat some food that you like. I don't know. Okay. Bye.